Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Cosmic Conversations. I'm your host, Sheila, and tonight we have one of our very own, Mr. Don, is going to be with us, and he is going to be sharing his story of his life. He's going to be making a presentation, talking about his book. And whatever else it is that you want to present, Don, we're excited to have you here and really look forward to the presentation. I also want to let you guys know that we are going to be live on Facebook, so you can check us out there on our Facebook page. Cindy keeps that up for us. She's doing a phenomenal job. So thank you, Miss Cindy. I really appreciate it so much. And if you want to go to the Wish Alliance Facebook page, then you can share this with your friends so that they can join us live tonight as well. So right now, what I'd like to do is I want to share my screen and want to let you know what's happening with the Wish Alliance. So we have a couple great events coming up this Saturday. We are co-partnering with Karen Swain. And Karen has been my co-host for the entire month on our Monday night Conscious Awakening series. And this event on Saturday will start, we have all of our times here. So depending on your particular time zone, for Mountain Time, which is what I am, it'll be 4 to 8, and Eastern Time, then it'll be 6 to 10. But everyone else, you can find all of the different times right here. We have a wonderful lineup of individuals, and basically what we're going to talk about is, okay, so now here we are on the planet. We all have these gifts and talents, but what are we doing about them? What's going to come next? And so Karen and I have had this planned, oh gosh, I don't know, 4 or 5 months. And as time gets closer and closer, we get more and more excited. Now, this is not an event that you have to register for, because it will be live on Facebook, on the Wish Alliance Facebook. It's going to be on Karen's Facebook. It also is going to be live on a variety of YouTube channels, on New Realities, Portal to Ascension, and also on Karen's. And she may have also secured a couple other locations, but those are the very main sites where you'll be able to check that out. I'm going ahead and giving a plug for our August 27th, 28th hybrid conference coming up. This is very exciting. Our topic is going to be anchoring higher consciousness. We have a wonderful lineup for you. And then with Portal to Ascension on Saturday, there's the Kundalini Online Conference. Just click on this little icon. It'll take you straight to the registration page. Then 2 free events coming up: deepening the connection of the law of creation and healing the divine free will. You can find all of that on wishalliance.org. You can also sign up to be on our mailing list right on our front page. And so if you sign up to be on our mailing list, please, please, please put us in your contacts, because a lot of times what happens is because we have such a massive mailing list, things will go to spam, and we don't want that to happen, because we have 2 phenomenal events every week. And so here is where you can click on our events. You have the drop down menu, and you can go to past events, and this will be all of our past speakers that we have had over the duration of the year and last year. And then we have our artisan station with art, film, poetry, and music. And Lonnie just submitted some poetry today, so you guys watch out for that. Woohoo!
Not yet. I haven't figured it out yet.
You don't have to figure it out. It'll take us a while to get it up. Don't worry, but it'll be up soon. But if you have poetry, art, film, or music that you'd like to share with the world, please click on our application section. And the applications will take you to the area where if you would like to become an ambassador or an artisan, you can fill out this application. If you are an author and you would like to have your book presented, then you fill this application. For people who have read books, and Cindy, this would be ideal for you and Susie too, because you guys are avid readers. If you have, my gosh, you just can't put this book down, then you can make a book review right here so that other people can hear how spectacular these books are that's coming out. Then we have a meditation
application too.
Pardon me?
I also got to do the author application.
Yes, you do, for your tarot book. And we need to get together so we can get you coming and talking to us about tarot.
I would so love it. That would be so much fun.
Awesome. Then we have a meditation application. And if you have meditations that have been professionally produced and you would like to share those, this is where you would put all that information. And then your voice counts, share your story. This is new, but this is a phenomenal place where people who have had very different and unique experiences can share about what's happened to them in their life.
Ah, that's you.
Yeah, it is actually. And so I want to go ahead and bring Susie up, because Susie has a beautiful song that she's going to present just with you in mind, Dawn. So Susie, just take it away.
I was so hoping.
Hi guys, hi Cindy, hi Don.
Hey Susie.
Don said in his little thing that I read, I try to read what people are going to talk about. And he said, you know, I didn't have anybody until I found you, my family. So I'm singing. This is from Disney. I think it was called The Monsters, but it's such a cool song. Don, I'm singing to you. If I were a rich girl with $1 million or $2 million, I'd live in a penthouse in a room with a view. And if I were pretty, it could happen, 'cause dreams do come true. I wouldn't have nothing if I didn't have you. Wouldn't have nothing if I didn't have. I wouldn't have nothing if I didn't have. I wouldn't have nothing. For years I have envied you, your gleam and your charm. Everyone loves you, you know. Yes, I know, yes, I know. But I must admit it, you guys always come through. I wouldn't have nothing if I didn't have you. You and me together, that's how it should be. One without the other don't mean nothing to me, nothing to me. Yes, I wouldn't be nothing if I didn't have you. Wouldn't know where to go or know what to do. I don't have to say it, 'cause we both know it's true. I wouldn't have nothing if I didn't have you. Wouldn't have nothing if I didn't have. I wouldn't have nothing if I didn't have you.
Oh, thank you so much, Susie.
Love you guys.
Thank you. Thank you. So I want to go ahead and bring Dawn up. And, you know, I've known Dawn since shortly after the walk-in conference that we had a year ago in January. And it was one of the first times that he said, that he had really met people of like kind. And that's what the Wish Alliance is all about, is providing this type of a community where people can come together, they can share their funky, unique, off the wall stories, and more importantly, all of their spiritual awakenings. And that is one of the most important things. And so, Don, I want to thank you so much for coming out, being brave tonight, coming out and sharing your story. I can't wait. So let's go ahead, and I'm just going to turn it over to you. So it's all yours.
Thank you, Sheila. Thank you very much for letting me share with everyone here tonight. And thank you, Susie. That was really, really beautiful. Just gorgeous, beautiful. And the title, Monsters, that's so appropriate for me, it feels like. Anyway, what I'd like to share with y'all tonight is kind of what y'all saw on the email. I'll talk about my background just a little bit, and then I'm going to go into the way I see things and kind of the way I think and let my mind just wander and run. And then some step-by-step techniques that I just use myself, because I learned without knowing. I learned through trial and error and through experiences. Mary Wadwell, in one of her presentations, said within the last 5 to 10 years, people had started activating. I was one of those activated. In 2019, I started getting impressions in my head, really, really strong, almost loud screaming in my head, saying, it's time, put videos out of your experiences, do it now. And I had no choice. I had to do it. It just became so powerful. And I knew by putting this out, I'd be put under heavy medication and put into an asylum. So I didn't put videos out on YouTube. I didn't want people to see them. I used this other site, which I'm going to start by sharing in just a moment. But first, if y'all would get something to write notes down on, a pencil, paper, something, I'd like you to write down a date for me starting off 8/13/2020, August 13, 2020. This is the date that I found out I wasn't alone. And it's a very important date for me. I find one person in the world that's psychic like me. Before that, completely alone. I don't know that anybody else like me exists. And there's a really good reason for all this. For me anyway, it was a good reason. But so I want you to remember that date because it will be important. I'm going to have a PowerPoint. I've got some short edited down video clips, and it shows posting dates on there. For the dates, anything before that date, I am talking to a future relative in case my nieces and nephews have children born crazy like me. At least they can see this and not feel alone. That's why I'm making videos. So hopefully it'll all work out. So can y'all hear me okay and everything? Okay, good. Good. I'm going to go ahead.
Perfect.
I'm going to go ahead and share screen with a PowerPoint and get started then. Share. There we go. This is actually the video site right here. And I use BitChute. So if you want to, you can go to the site. If you click the About tab, you will see in the center things that might be of interest. They're called Strange Happenings. I grouped them into 3 different playlists. Strange Happenings number 1 through 52, I am completely alone in the dark. Strange Happening 53, I find a video and there's one person in the world like me. This site, for those, I believe, that are listening only, Clubhouse is audio only, so I'll try to give more description. But the website is www.bitchute.com, bitchute.com/Don Hudnall, DONHUDNALL, for those listening. But the middle playlist, I find out I'm not alone. A few days later, my world explodes open. And number 95 videos later is the Wish Alliance's first walk-in conference on January 2021. And I find all of you. Number 96, that night of day 3, I find out what my mission is. And I am still trying to come to grips with that because it's completely different than most people's. It's a bit different. But here's the video site. You can go check it out, and it goes in chronological order as I'm learning. I start learning, and I'm actually, in some cases, recording videos as odd things happen. Different odd things happen, and I can't explain it, and I record it on video as they're happening. What kind of things? Well, before we get into that, I do want to kind of give a trigger warning for people. I am going to be talking about real world issues, and some of that deals with suicide and death. And if parts of that, when I show things and talk about it, if that's too much, feel free to mute, but it can be a lot. And at the end, I am going to go step by step, kind of the way I see the world and the way my psychic kind of abilities work. And if this starts activating psychic abilities in you and you don't know how to deal with it, that's why the Wish Alliance is there. There are a lot of Wish Alliance ambassadors. Contact one of them for help, because I don't know that I can help. I don't know how to turn it off, or really what to do. I am not a teacher. I am not a healer. I don't have seminars or mentorships or anything else. Not like Phil Gruber. I found Phil and he became my mentor and he helped a lot, just a whole lot. And I really appreciate it. And he helped me understand myself more than anything. It helped me feel that I wasn't crazy or alone. And so that was huge. So I love Phil Gruber for all of that. But on the left, you see my email, dhudnall8@gmail.com. I do not have Twitter, Facebook, or other social media. I don't do any of that, just this video site. And then I did write a book. It's on Amazon. It's called A Starseed Lost in the Dark. This is for people who are feeling lost in the dark. It's a story, a narrative with the main character being Adam, and I am Adam in the book. This is my life and all the strange things that happened in my life, and it's unbelievable. I know people probably read it and think it's not real, but all the experiences are very real. I've changed the name and moved some timelines, but everything in there is very, very real. And it's just unbelievable, I think, for most people, but it's all very true. And what kind of things might be unbelievable? Well, this PowerPoint, learning without knowing, this kind of thing. These things are specific to me in the order that they happen. First, it was telepathy kicked in as a very small tot, then being empathic kicked in, and astral travel, then a walk-in happened, and I saw things in a new light, literally, and I'm going to be talking about that later, the literally part. And then when I ask reality for stuff, it seems to happen. I think a lot of people call this manifesting, and I don't know other word to describe it, but reality responds, it seems, and it's very odd. I also started feeling electricity. Even in my career at Bell Helicopter, there was an instance where I saved someone's life. I felt a power pole, something was wrong with it, undisturbed. I could go into detail, but eventually the electrical contractor supervisor forced me to tell him how I knew there was a problem and that somebody could have gotten killed. And I had to tell him I can feel electricity. I couldn't blow it off on coincidence with him, which I've tried to do all my life, is hide. Also, precognition. I guess it's clairvoyance, precognition. That was the hardest thing to do. And I taught myself how to do that, and it still works today. One of the hardest things I've only done 3 times ever is actually shift reality. From our experiences, things that happen and it becomes solid within your own experience, it's very hard to change. But there were 3 times in my life that have actually shifted reality. There's this thing I call seeing through walls. And it's kind of like remote viewing, but it's a little different. And then there's clairaudience. Hearing things and also hearing things. All of this, what I just talked about, I've gotten confirmation from other people that have been involved, heard this, confirmed that it's true and real. So I've gotten my own personal confirmation. In the bottom red, it says telekinesis. I believe I might have been telekinetic as a child. There was, in our haunted house we lived in, things moved around all the time. When I go to the babysitters, things around moved all the time. And I remember one specific instance being in the shed, trying to get a glass to move across the wooden shelf and focusing on it, and the glass didn't move. Tried again, and it just wobbled a little bit and stopped. And my very clear memory at that time when that happened was, it's okay. She screamed. It must be a bad thing. It's okay to forget. And that's my memory of telekinesis. And then after that, nothing else. Sure would have come in handy, but nothing else after that. And today, later, I'm going to focus on telepathy and empathic for kind of a walkthrough, how it works with me. I have another one highlighted. This is what I call seeing through walls, but I think I'm going to skip that. Just up till an hour ago, I've had it all worked out. I've got the slide prepared, but the way I see things, the first things I started seeing by using your third eye chakra ability to feel, first things I started seeing, what I now know from what y'all have taught me, was the lower astral. right after the walk-in experience, I started seeing into the lower astral and seeing dark entities and dark thought forms and lost souls, and I really didn't know how to deal with it. And I hate for something to be put out there that causes people hardship. So I think I might skip that last one and just focus on telepathy and being empathic and how people can kick that off. I hope that's okay. If you want to know anything, write all this down. If you have questions, want examples of any of this, write it down and make sure to ask me, because I am going to be going through this so fast, so many experiences. It's going to be like skipping a rock on a lake. I'm just going to be barely touching down on certain topics because there is a lifetime of experiences with me. What other kind of experiences? These kind of experiences. For those on Clubhouse, I'll just walk through this, but the images are images of the walk-in ambassadors, just a fraction of them, awesome people. But all this kind of stuff is related to me. Starseed, walk-ins, folks being activated, protective entities being around them, living in a haunted house, something to do with asylums and programming, being a hybrid, remote viewing kind of thing. Let's see, shifting reality, all the psychic ability kind of stuff, astral travel, even bringing the land to life, how to do that, reality responding, dark entity attacks, lost souls, soul retrievals. There's a lot that goes in with this. Light language, I don't speak it, but I write it. So it's kind of odd, but I do write light language. I've had a near-death experience. And then, of course, last but not least, on the image is Phil Gruber, who is amazing. And he talks about founding ET races. And I couldn't believe I actually had a connection with one of those founding ET races. I didn't understand what was going on. And then there was Phil. I'm like, oh my God, thank you so much, Phil. So I am not going through all of this. If you have questions, write it down and I can go more into detail. There's not enough time. It's a lifetime of experiences. I'm going to focus on the two top right ones, talking about a haunted house and kind of the asylum programming from Maisha Johnson. For the haunted house, there was a speaker during the first walk-in conference, Andrea Perron. She lived in a haunted house. The movie The Conjuring was based off her haunted house experience. When I heard her speak, I'm like, oh my God, we lived in a similar haunted house just like she did. How is that possible? So it freaked me out. She talked about hearing a music box playing when there's no music box, entities and ghosts in the room, things moving around on their own, being pulled out of bed once. What else? Imaginary friends. And all this is very familiar to me because I lived it. And you don't have to take my word for it. I am going to show a short video clip, 3 minutes and 20 seconds, of my mother talking about some of these. I've edited it down to keep it short. So this is just a few of what she talks about off of my video site. But this will be actually my mother talking here coming up. So let me share that if you'll give me a moment and I will share that. Here we go. Pulling up the video now. Let me go back, get used to all this. Oh, here we go. Screen share, video clip, optimize, and here we go.
Our experiences in a haunted house we once lived in. In the late 60s, we bought our first home in Pineville, Louisiana. Lovely home, well built, beautiful, great neighborhood, big trees. Had only had one owner who was a doctor and his wife with no children. There's no excessive history, strange, or anything. No history whatsoever. Several things had happened frequently. One of them is there was a little sun porch built on the back that we had used as a little bedroom for the two little boys and had bunk beds in there. And if you were quiet, you could hear a music box playing in that room. Not everybody could hear this, but every once in a while, somebody would come in and say, I hear a music box. Where's that coming from? That was a nice little thing. But an unhealthy thing about that room, Don saw bad things out the window. I'm not sure what it was, but it's very frightening. It frightened him. And he still remembers it vividly. An interesting thing about the children, my second son, Steve, never woke up at night. He was the soundest sleeper you have ever seen for a kid. One night, it was wintertime, we'd had the heat going, we had a floor furnace in the hallway between the bedrooms. It kept the whole floor warm because it was up on piers. It was a really nice way to heat a house for children because they didn't get sick. And I was sound asleep, and I hear Steve call out, "Mama, Mama!" And wait, that was Steve. And so I paused, because sometimes you can just wait till the kid goes back to sleep. You don't have to get up. All of a sudden, he hollers again, "Mama, Mama!" I mean, I jumped and ran to the bedroom. They were in the front bedroom at the time. The two boys were. And I get in there, and I look at the door, and he's sound asleep, just like he always is. Don sound asleep, nothing going on. I was puzzled, and I slowed down, and I walked back through that hallway, and I smelled gas. This floor furnace had a problem, and the gas had got with the gas, something valve or something, and gas was pouring into the house. That was weird. Another time about that front door, the children were all around me, and I was standing by the dining room window where you could look out and see the front door, and the doorknob starts turning. I could see there was nobody standing at the front door. I could see the doorknob on the outside and on the inside, and on the inside that knob was turning, and there was nobody outside. That scared the crap out of me, and I actually called my husband, and he came home quickly, and everything was okay, but there was no reason for that knob to be turning.
And that's just an example from my mother talking about one of the things, or a few of the things that had happened at that house. There's a lot more that actually went on, such as there are many times that I floated up through the roof of the house. And some of the times it felt like there were entities there with me. I didn't know what was happening. And a few of the times I got the impression of, it's like going to the dentist. It's not fun now, but it will help you in the future. For me as a kid, I'm like, oh, a dentist, this is normal. I mean, this is everyday stuff. It's like getting your hair cut or changing the clothes when you're muddy. It's not a big deal. Everybody does this. No need to even talk about it, and just go on playing and you live your life. This is normal growing up as a human. This happens to everybody, right? That was my thought at the time. So, but maybe it's not just normal like for everybody else. You know, you're still learning all this kind of stuff. My mom did mention the thing about the dark entities, the things I saw outside the window. I have been looking most of my life for what I saw outside the windows there, and I couldn't explain it. Even the Wish Alliance ambassadors with their beautiful drawings of Pleiadians, Lyrans, Arcturians didn't match. It wasn't until Alan Steinfeld last month did a presentation and showed a video clip of Linda Moulton Howe there. And she gave told about an instance where a military person was put in front of a being, and he was told he'd get a lot of telepathic images in and he'd go unconscious, which he did. She said the being is normally 3 to 4 foot tall, hovering off the ground normally. When she said that, I'm like, that is what was outside my window. This thing was 3 to 4 foot tall, hovering on the ground. It tried to paralyze me. I was still able to sit up, turn, and look at it, and it had red eyes. For me, I couldn't make out the facial features. They were blurry. The body was blurry. It was almost like long hair moving in water, or maybe shifting shadows. And I couldn't explain it. But when she said that, I'm like, that's as close as I can get. Then at some point, I was pushed off the top of the bunk bed. These other protective entities in the house grabbed me, held me, and then set me down on my feet. And I ran to the parents' house. That's the kind of things that happened in that house. And they're kind of odd. Those two groups of beings have been with me all my life. They're still around. I can't explain it. The protective ones have protected me in drastic situations, even pushing my whole truck sideways against the tire to keep me from having a head-on collision. There's been a lot of things like that have happened, just really odd. Also, when I was a small child, just is going to be kind of odd too. I have a couple of memories. Maisha Johnson earlier this month talked about how some kids went into some kind of program, their personalities were fractured, and They were programmed to do something in future events. I have a memory similar to that. Two people up there, they're programming me, trying to test me or something, and I have to shrink myself down within myself. It's the first time I ever did disassociation, hid within myself and projected an image that they could see, whether telepathically or whatever. It was enough for them to know that their identification methods work, but not enough that they can use me. And I get sent home. And I do recall several times later, I believe it was 2 or 3 other times, that people checked up on me. One specific, in a parking lot, walking across a parking lot, a stranger comes up and I could feel him probing my mind at the time. I did the same thing, hid within myself, projected an image of what I had shown before, and then I purposely tripped to play the part of a fool child, and it worked. And I had to do that, I think, 2 or 3 other times, but I thought that was odd. I mentioned before that I can feel electrical, and weird things happen with electrical. Sometimes I can control it. Maisha Johnson, during that presentation earlier this month, y'all were there, when she said that this was done in an asylum, it triggered that connection between an asylum and this happening to kids, and the Zoom crashed. Y'all were there when the Zoom crashed. It's happened before when I get triggered like that on these Zoom meetings. Even last year during Zoom, I was feeling all full of myself, wearing only a torque, and Loney asked, "Is that all you're wearing?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's all I'm wearing." Feeling full of myself. And then Zoom wigged out and transferred Sheila's hosting capability to me and locked it, and I couldn't give it back. And I had to stop camera and walk away. But that happens. But when she said that, I was like, oh my God. And it crashed. I went out and typed in the address of that haunted house we lived in, and I did not realize the asylum was so close to our house. The next image that Clubhouse you're not seeing, what you're seeing is an old black and white image, is people sitting in chairs outside of a building, an old black and white picture. They're actually locked in these chairs with a bar across their lap. This is a picture from the asylum.
Tiny correction. Sorry, I wanted to jump in. I
Yeah.
see a great image of Google Maps with a hexagon around a location of interest.
Oh,
I think you might have the wrong screen on the top layer.
I probably
love
do.
to see what you're talking about.
Whoops. I probably do.
It's
Let
in
me-
the top right-hand corner, Don. The asylum is in the
let
top
me
right-hand corner.
move the chat video around. There we go. I can
Okay,
see.
good. Okay, so it is there.
Sorry about that. Thank you.
Just me being crazy. It's all good.
You're doing fine. None of this is crazy to us.
But
We can see it, Don.
okay, but these
We see
people
it.
locked in their chairs, I saw this when Dad would drive through the asylum, and these are childhood memories. And I remember when one would get up and be running, chased by attendants, I'd be at the window cheering, "Run, run, get away," childhood memories. But on the Google Earth image map, sorry, Clubhouse, if you can't see this, but I have a yellow hexagram around the haunted house where we lived at. Going left, across past 2 houses, across 1 railroad track, there's a large compound there, a large grounds with lots of buildings. That is called Central Asylum. It used to be called the Insane Asylum of Alexandria. I was born in Alexandria in 1963, and at that time, there were 3,000 people housed here. They had wards for the criminally insane. They did electroconvulsive therapy. There were cemeteries on site, and a lot more to go with that. And I just didn't realize how close we were. And we would drive through that. Dad would drive through that. And I remember that. And when Maisha said that, oh my God, I remember. It's very odd. I have blacked out the actual address of the house because I don't want them doxxed or people harassing them or anything else. But that's just some of my childhood. I've had a lifetime of these kind of experiences, a ton of experiences. But right now, to try to keep on time a little bit, I am going to jump way ahead to that date I asked you to write down, 8/13/2020, about a year and a half ago, I think. Is that
And
what that is?
Don, you have all the time that you need.
Oh, I have a lifetime of experiences. I don't think there's enough time to cover that. I mean, because things that happen with me, sometimes it's daily. It's completely insane. I mean, it made me feel insane just looking at this picture and knowing that this was part of my childhood. But I am going to jump ahead to 8/13/2020. That's the date I saw a video on YouTube. One person talked about psychic abilities and how it made people feel crazy and alone. At that moment, it hit me. There's one person in the world like me, psychic like me, and it made him feel crazy. And from that moment alone, I'm not alone anymore. Then a few days later, my world exploded. What happened is I was home alone, taking a shower, And in that shower, it wasn't a download. A lot of people talk about downloads, but this was something different. It was so much coming in. And the only thing I can attribute it to was that video I mentioned before from Linda Moulton Howe and that military person with that being. What that military personnel said it was like living 7 lifetimes all at once, all the emotions, everything all at once. And it was too much. And he passed out. I managed to grab the handrail as I was collapsing in the shower. I did not pass out, but this is the kind of things that were coming in. I was getting images of people throughout the planet and their emotions at the same time. Every time I saw a new person, it added on to the one before. It was cumulative, all these emotions, and that's why I was crying, hardly able to breathe. I kept seeing these people all over the world, and it was just so much, I couldn't hardly handle it. I was also learning to forgive everyone for everything across time. That is one thing I'd always wanted to do all my life, is learn to forgive everybody for everything. And I never knew how to do it. And it hit me. It started coming in and it started happening. And this is the number 2 moment, my number 2 best moment of my entire life as a conscious being here on this planet, was this moment and learning to forgive everyone for everything. Something else happened is way in the past, I started seeing through walls, remote viewing, seeing dark entities and all this. And I tried putting landscape barriers up to protect myself because it's so much out there. I put them up, lived like this for decades until that moment. It shattered my landscape barriers when this happened. I was also getting waves of consciousness, seeing this through space. And that is the background for this PowerPoint. I was seeing waves of light moving through space. And I just knew that these waves were consciousness, waves of light as consciousness moving through space. I didn't know how to describe it or what it was. I know people who can see the PowerPoint, you see number of minutes down for videos. I am not showing all this. It is too much. I am going to show one of them here in a moment. But within a 6-week period, a lot of stuff happened. Another time I started seeing images, like in the shower, once again, flat walls, seeing through it. I'm in space. And I'm getting emotions in large areas of space, joy and sadness in different areas, just massive emotions in various areas of space. One night, these 2 groups of entities, the same entities from my childhood, showed up in my bedroom in August of 2020, within that 6-week period. Midnight, these 2 groups showed up in my bedroom. And I have a video on that. You can ask questions about that. I'll tell you all about it. But at that point, at the end, the last thing I said to them is, I need time. I need more time. I need time. I looked back at that video the next day and even recorded another video. It's like, why did I say that? I have no idea why I said I need more time. I said it, but I don't know why I said that. And that happens sometimes. I'll say things and don't know why I say them. And then I find out later. And what started happening, odd things started happening along the way up until video number 69. I titled it The Choice. And I realized what they were trying to do is get me to make a choice. This is the number 1 moment of my whole life, and I had to make a choice. But it was a big deal to me, and that is the number 1 moment in my life as a conscious being, is that choice. And I made a choice. At the very end of that video, I look up to the universe and say, I really could use somebody to talk to. And then the very next day, a video pops up on YouTube and someone's talking about starseeds. And I hear that for the first time, and then I find all of you, and it was wonderful. So a lot of weird things have happened in my life, throughout my life, and continue to happen. But I'd like to take you on a kind of a trip with me right now. What it's like to just let your mind wander. Before that, I'm going to show this video, 1 minute, 40 seconds, Waves of Consciousness. This is me recording it, rambling with my tea, drinking my morning tea, trying to explain some of this as it happens. And I'd like to share that with you if I could. And here it is.
And one of the things that came through when I was being overloaded in Strange Happening 55 was the idea of the micro quantum, small quantum states. You know, you see that in Marvel's Infinity War. They talk about the quantum realm, but you know, quantum entanglement, the way it works, and then there's quantum gravity. But something weird was going on with that was that there's an underlying waveform to all this. It's a waveform. that goes through everything, that links everything. And that's the solution to quantum entanglement in quantum gravity, is this waveform. It's the same waveform that goes through the micro and the macro universe. So both of them, there's a waveform that people haven't seen yet, I don't think. I don't know. I don't know if it's out there. Don't know. But there's this waveform, and that's the solution to quantum entanglement and quantum gravity. The duality of the macro and the micro. So on a cosmic grand level, may be seen at the micro quantum level. The same things are happening, which is very interesting. Almost like that phrase, you're as above, so below. How very interesting is that? Isn't that interesting? Find that interesting. Things like that run through my brain when this outside information comes through. So a lot of it is kind of crazy and way out there. Again, this rambling with my tea.
And that's what it's like from the viewpoint of a redneck homesteader who likes playing in the dirt and still thinks he's alone. So it's just like, okay, what's happening? I don't know what's going on, but let's just go with it, right? Let's just go with it. So that was that part. Let's see, jump there. Come on, click.
Just wanted to jump in and say that was really awesome. I had a similar revelation years ago that consciousness as light was a thing. And that got me really into studying computer science and fiber optic networking, where we use a synthetic pulse of light. But there's another thing with consciousness studies that thinks that quantum, like connection-wise, when we look at quantum mechanics, it suggests that superposition, not necessarily true or false, not necessarily on or off, not necessarily binary, it's more like statistical. Those things operate with a natural form of light, and there might be a way that biology works with light. So what you're saying is completely on topic. I think it's amazing that you have these metaphors that are so practical, and it does link in the deeper down the rabbit hole you go. And I've done a lot of that scientific research, and it's great to find a like mind.
That is so cool. That is so cool. I'm going to keep going down that rabbit hole you mentioned, Paul.
Thank you so much for sharing.
This is what happens when you let your mind go and go down that rabbit hole, because I did go down the rabbit hole on that one. Waves of light like that moving through the universe. And I'm like, okay, so I'm seeing this as consciousness. Consciousness is everywhere. It's everything. It's part of everything. It's beyond time. It crosses dimensions. Consciousness is everywhere. Wait a minute. Why did I say that on that video? Why did I say quantum gravity? What? Why did I say that? So I typed in waves and gravity in a search engine, and sure enough, there in February of 2016, scientists announced they had detected gravity waves moving through space. It was a collision of two black holes. And for the first time, they detected gravity waves moving through space. And I'm like, wait a minute. Here's letting your mind go. This is what it's like.
The space weather of it all. It's out there, man. The atmosphere is real.
What if gravity is an expression of consciousness at this lower dimension? What if they're the same thing? It's just expressed different at this dimension. On screen for Clubhouse, I'm showing an infinity symbol at the top of it. So it'd be like source. And as you move down through the different dimensions, it's consciousness. But at some point, perhaps a particle comes into an existence right there at the cross middle section. And that particle is in the quantum level, because quantum particles act really funny and move as if they're in a wave, yet there's no wave. But even a quantum particle has gravity. And the bigger the particle, the more gravity, the more force it feels. And I'm like, what if gravity is an expression of consciousness at this level? Well, I know about manifesting like attracts like. Gravity does the same thing. Again, this is letting your mind wander and go. They're like, okay. Well, I also heard about the hardware for extraterrestrial spacecraft. They say it uses some kind of electromagnetic or something to warp space-time. And I'm like, that's not right. That can't be right. Space and time do not affect gravity. It's the other way around. Gravity affects space-time, because in the waves of gravity the scientists detected, they said as the waves moved through space, gravity warped space and time as it moved. The gravity was warping space and time, not the other way around. And I'm like, Well, does that mean for alien spacecraft that they're actually altering gravity, and the outward effect is an alteration of space and time? But it's actually gravity that they're using. And if gravity has an element of consciousness with it, is that why a certain level of consciousness being is required to pilot these spacecraft as part of the navigation system to link with this consciousness out there? And if that's true, gravity is also outside of time. It's unaffected by time. It goes beyond time. It's outside of time, just like consciousness. Perhaps that makes time travel possible with these craft. I don't know. And then the same thing with dimensional travel. Is that why they're able to pour it in and out of dimensions? If they're able to alter gravity and shape it and move it, and gravity is an element of consciousness as you warp to these higher dimensions, maybe that's how it works. I don't know. But that's what it's like when you let your mind wander. What if? What if that's the unified field of everything? Is gravity is also a force, but it's also an element of consciousness? What if they're similar? I don't know. That's what happens. But that is actually the way I see everything. And that is the core of the way I see everything. So if you would join me in kind of a little exercise to see this way, this is the way I see. It's the way I've seen everything. Last week during Thursday's Zoom meeting, Geraldine Orozco, one of the last things she said was she sees people as holographic. And I completely agree. That's the way I see the world, as holographic. So if you would just look up from your laptop and look at something, look around at the objects around you. Everybody already knows this. This is probably just common knowledge to everybody, right? It's common science that the color you see isn't actually color. It's just a waving length of light that your eyes are interpreting as color. It's actually light. Everything is light. There is no such thing as color. Color doesn't exist. It's all light. It's just this wavelength that your eyes are interpreting. Your eyes are acting like VR goggles, virtual reality goggles. They're interpreting a signal and telling you there's color, but that is really light. Look around the room. Everything is just varying degrees of light. It's just your eyes that are interpreting it as color. And it's the same thing with substance, right? Everything's vibrating at a certain rate. Perhaps that's why we're able to influence objects from a distance. If gravity is like consciousness, gravity actually connects us to every single thing in the universe. Even in midair, air has gravity. Light has gravity. A light particle has gravity. Everything that has mass or energy has gravity. That means everything in existence, even the void of space, has gravity. People think, well, you're at the International Space Station, you're weightless, none, there's no gravity up there. No. The International Space Station is actually falling. It's falling away from Earth. There is gravity on it. The only thing that happens is there's an opposing force, the centrifugal force, counteracting it, giving you the feeling of weightlessness. The gravity is still there, but you have an opposing force. So it's still there too. It's everywhere. That's the way my mind wanders like that. But this is the way I see everything. Looking around the room, your room, it's all varying degrees of light. You're just interpreting different. And it's all vibrating at a different rate. And this is the way I've always seen things, as kind of holographic, that it's just our bodies and our eyes interpreting a certain way. And that is the core. And I've, for Clubhouse, I have changed slides now, and I've got core psychic key. This is the key for me on everything, because there is this physical connection between people, and it is gravity. It is a consciousness somehow connecting all of us together, connecting objects to us, connecting objects to each other, connecting us to everything. And this is how I see. And if you don't mind, I don't know, maybe this is crazy, but do another little exercise with me. If you would look up from your desktop or your laptop or device and look at an object. And instead of meditating, most people meditate. This is just the way I see things. Maybe it's a type of medication, but it's the way I see things. Is using your crown chakra, your third eye. For people like me, redneck homesteaders, I love digging in the dirt. I do. I love it. This is above your eyebrows. Okay. This is above your eyebrows. This is your third eye, your crown chakra, and reach out with it in front of you. You can reach out with this type of awareness separate from your body. Your eyes are just VR goggles. Your body's an avatar. This is your true self, your crown chakra, your third eye. This is your awareness. This is the true you, and let it reach out. At the same time, let your heart reach out with the ability to feel, and let them join together. And this is how I see and feel, is they join together almost like lovers. It's like It's the ability to feel. It's not an emotion. It's the ability to feel from your heart. And I let these two join together, and I reach out and I feel and see an object this way. Varying shades of light. A lot of people call it a vibration, that everything has a vibration, certain vibration. Y'all do. I think everything has a vibration. I didn't know that term. So for me, lost in the dark, I called them tints, because I'm used to seeing a paint store with all the color swatches on the wall, all the varying colors, just thousands and thousands. So I call these vibration tints. This object has a certain tint that you're looking for. You can feel it. And then if you move over to another object with this awareness combined with your ability to feel, it's got a different tint, a different vibration. Everything has different vibrations, and you get used to that. And this is the way I see everything all the time. It just is. But I think this is all normal for people on Zoom. This is just the way you all see things. And this is the way all my psychic stuff works, because it links to everything this way. Seeing things this way is with your awareness and the ability to feel working together to touch something and reach out. Now for telepathy, I've clicked on a new slide, Clubhouse for telepathy. I think a lot of people here are telepaths. I know I am. I had some problem with it when I was a kid. Like in high school, I had some real problems with it. Like one example I use is in high school, I'm talking to someone. There's a group of friends to my side talking. They're just to my side talking, and they're on a little group. One girl spoke up and said, "You want to know what I did for the weekend?" And I wasn't thinking. I hear her. I see her with my awareness. I feel her, and I'm not paying attention. And then I just say off the cuff without thinking, "You did this, 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 and this for the weekend." And they were stunned. And she accused me of stalking her and everything else. But that was telepathy linking with that tint, that vibration of her without even realizing it. And y'all can do that too. It does come in handy though for jury selection. Got out of jury selection once for an asbestos case. I couldn't afford to be there with my own business. I would have lost my business. And so when they got the lawyer started questioning me during the asbestos case to see if they wanted me on the panel, I finally gave up. And I just said, "Look, your case is about the husband died. The wife is here claiming secondhand exposure because he brought it home on his clothing. This is what your case is about." And she's like, "What?" And then she kept asking questions. I wish you would have shut up, but she kept asking me questions, and I revealed more and more about the case until the judge shut it down and called both lawyers up there, and they kicked me out. So it comes in handy sometimes for things like that. You can practice this though for everyday people like me. You don't know anything about meditation or doing anything. You can practice this in everyday situations. A good way to practice that I practice to kind of keep it up is when driving. I've talked about this awareness from your third eye crown chakra, reaching out with your ability to feel. Picture this, imagine this, try to form an image in your mind. You're driving, you know you've got miles to go straight ahead. There's a car in front of you. Let your awareness and your ability to feel move out in front of your car, past their car, almost as if it's a still lake. Let everything be still, just really still, like still waters.
Sorry, but it shouldn't start till 7.
Oh, sorry, did I miss something?
Yeah, no.
We have a hot
Somebody
mic.
needs to mute, please.
Okay, but anyway, this is the way I practice. Let it go out like a still lake for the car in front of you, and just be still as you're driving. Obey traffic laws, don't lose control of your vehicle, but let this other part of you, the true part of you, your crown chakra and ability to feel, move out and let it be still. And then if you get the sudden urge to turn left, or your hand jerks left a little bit, pay attention to the car in front of you. See if they turn on their turn signal to turn. This is a good way to practice. And it makes driving easy because you can start switching lanes and moving over, or be ready to slow down before they make a move. You're linked with that person. Whenever they think, "Oh, I need to turn left here," you can pick up on it and see if they're turning left. It's a way to practice telepathy. That's the way I practice anyway. Just everyday things like that. And you can do that. What I want to talk about next, I did mention the empathic part of it, is this is the way I see things with tints. Another way, if you would just kind of go through a little exercise with me, is hold out one of your hands, palms up in front of you. Just hold it out in front of you. Think of a close friend and what it feels like to be with that close friend. they have a certain vibration to them, a certain tint, I call it, a certain tint. You know how they feel. They know how, you know how they make you feel. Move that feeling out from you, in front of you, and let it rest in your hand as if it's an actual object. Have it separate from you and look at that friend in your hand and how it makes you feel, and really look at it closely, everything about it. Keep it there. Don't lose it. Keep it there. Now bring up your other hand, palms up, and think of another friend and how they make you feel, and move it into the other hand and look at it. A lot of the people with all this book knowledge and everything, they talk vibration. For me, it's tints. One friend has this tint, they feel this way. This other friend has this tint and they feel this way. They are different, and you can sense it. You know it. You can sense what it feels like. What it feels like for this friend versus a family member feels completely different. Once you recognize this, you can link with it when you're around them. It's almost as if you take on that tint yourself. A lot of people say keep barriers up. I didn't know that maybe I was supposed to do that, keep barriers up between yourself and someone else. I never did that. I lost myself. For telepathy, being empathic, I completely lose myself, forget that I exist, and I take on that tint of them, and I can feel it, what it's like. Now, what happens is you may get so used to that, so good at that, you know exactly what it feels like, that you can feel them from a distance. They could be in another state, another part of the planet, and you can feel their emotions from far away, strong emotions. The negative emotions are easy to identify because you don't want them. The positive emotions are harder. You may have had a bad day, then all of a sudden you start feeling great and you claim it as your own because you like it. I feel good. That's good. That is mine. But the dark emotions, you've had a good day. Why am I feeling this depressive feeling? Why am I feeling depressed? I shouldn't. I've had a good day. Move it out from your body in front of you and really look at it. Really look at it separate from yourself and see if you can identify a vibration or a tint, and see if you can match it to anybody you know. To confirm this, once you figure it out, give them a call. Just call up and chit chat. Just say hi, call them up and chit chat. You don't have to be aggressive or out forward with it and freak them out, but you can call them up and chit chat and say, how's your day? And see how it's going. Things like that. And I have an example I'd like to share with you. This is pretty dark. It does deal with suicide and death, what it can lead to. At one point, you'll hear in this video, I say, I don't like going out there and looking. This is a type of remote viewing. I can go out there and follow that tint, that vibration back to the person and see where they're at, see what they're doing. And when you feel like somebody's dying and stuff, I don't like going and looking. I've seen enough already. And so you'll hear me there are two different video clips. The second one, you'll hear me in a second say, I don't like going out and doing that. And this is the reason why. Because you feel what it's like to die in different situations. So if this is too much for handle, you don't have to listen to it. But I need to give you a background on the first one. I had become friends with a security guard at work. He had an old beat up car with a manual roll down window handle, rolls down manually. And I am sitting in the living room, watching TV, eating dinner, and I start feeling him die. And I don't know what's happening. And I recorded it on video, and I'm going to show you. I didn't find out till 2 weeks later, this thing happened exactly as I was feeling it at that moment. It was during COVID. The business was shut down for 2 weeks. When we went back to work, they told us. So 2 weeks later, I found out, but this video is raw video of me talking about that instance. So this is what it's like. If you don't know what it's like to feel someone from a distance, I'm going to share what it's like. And if you can't handle it, feel free to turn off the screen or whatever you need to do. I'll need to pull it up first. If you'll give me just one moment. Pause it. All right, here we go. I didn't have it queued up. Whoops, really should have had it queued up, huh? All right, optimize, and I believe this is it right here.
Having dinner, just sitting there watching a little television kind of thing. Started getting these impressions, kind of a bad impression. I don't know if it was coming from someone in particular or from an event. I don't know where it was coming from, but it wasn't me. Now, everything was fine with me. But it's like something just happened last night. Something happened somewhere, and it was an event that they couldn't get back on it. Basically, it was a last ditch effort to save themselves or save something, and it failed. That last ditch effort failed last night, and so I don't know what it was, and that failure led to death. So I don't know if that was a relative died last night or is dying or is about to really quick here. Maybe I'll get a phone call today. We'll see. But what I could only attribute it to is like if you're in a car and it's sinking and you're the only one in the car, you can't get the door opened, it's jammed, the windows won't break. The only way down is to, if you have a manual window roll handle, to manually roll down the window, that's your only way out, and you're trying to roll the window down and the handle breaks. And there's no other way out and you're trapped and you know you're going to die. That's what it was like last night
One of my older videos
before
out there
going to
back
bed. And then I had
in,
bad dreams all night long.
I'll put a description down at the bottom, but back in, end of June, very end of June, I was at the Pink House, and I'll put a little clip here, just a little clip of what I was feeling. It was like I got hit in the right hand side of the head by something, and my head whipped to the side. I don't know what that was or who that was. Maybe it was somebody like me. It was like a flash, and then my head just whipped to the left because it got hit on the right hand side. Almost like a gunshot. So I don't know what I was feeling, who I was feeling. I'm not going out there looking. So I thought I'd bring it up here. It felt like a suicide almost. Kind of weird, but there it is. So I don't know what it is or who it was. But maybe it was somebody like me, and I just felt it. I have no idea where it came from. But it's out on the video if you want to go backwards and watch the whole thing, but it's out there. And I didn't know who it was. Found out who it might have been this weekend talking to Alina, and I have her on video. You'll meet her.
So after talking to you, and also I did see the video that you did about the feeling the person and the hit to the head, and that you felt like it was a gunshot and all that stuff. And when I saw that video, I had a little tingle, and I was like, could this be because of our connection, that perhaps you might have sensed or witnessed my significant other's 18-year-old son committing suicide? It was summer. It was June 29th going into the 30th of 2020. And he, in fact, committed suicide at some point within those late nights of 29th into the 30th, and it was a gunshot wound to the head, and it was almost exactly as Dawn described the feeling and all of that. And we feel very strongly that that was him, because it was the same time frame, it was the same kind of situation, everything that he described, and that's what we think.
Alina's a longtime friend. We've known her for 20 years. We just hadn't seen her in about 7 years. She lives in the DFW area, and we had moved away from her. So folks, if this is you and you're starting becoming empathic and it's getting difficult to deal with, that's why the Wish Alliance and these other groups are here. The ambassadors are there to help. If you need help, contact one of the ambassadors. They can really help. Like I said, I don't do mentorships or anything like that, and I don't know how to turn it off. This is the core of my presentation. I had one other slide, but I don't think I'm going to show it. It continues along with the core way I see things. I see into the astral, and it never stops. Every flat surface, I'm seeing through it. I see images, I see reality, I see all kinds of things, and it never stops. So it's just kind of interesting. And it's gotten to the point, it got to the point, God, some decades ago. Hey, have you ever heard of those kids? I think Mary Rodwell talked about them, that can close their eyes, be blindfolded, and still read a book. That sounds all fun and fluffy, but once you start seeing this way, that can happen. And let me tell you, when you're trying to take a nap after working hard in the summer heat, and you're trying to take a nap and you close your eyes and you're still seeing, sometimes I put my hands up and go, my eyes are closed, but I've got my hands over my eyes and I'm still seeing all reality as it is. I'll sit up, look out the window, and it's like, yep, there goes another nap. So that can happen. That can actually happen. That's about all I got. It's about an hour into it. So you got any questions?
Can I comment on this last part? So I've up until this whole point, I've been wondering, like, what is the connection? There's something about this that that I need to hear, and I don't even. I think this end part, which is what I was saying like earlier, like don't spare us, like I need to know because there was a part which was this, and sorry if I seem like overwhelmed, but like for the the past like 5 months, like I don't know what the F is going on with me. I'm just having these emotional like nights where I'm just like and like and just tears. Like I've had many thoughts of like like suicide coming in, but they're not mine. And I'm wondering like how is this me? Where is this coming from? I mean, there was one point where I did connect it to one person who was actually a stranger who I'd seen at like like the local bar, and then we had to end up having a conversation. I was like, hey, sorry if this is pretty blunt, but like this is what I'm getting from you. And I'm like, I know I'm a stranger and all this. And he's just like, yes, I just tried to commit suicide 5 days ago. And I'm just like, oh, God. But that's just one. But the rest of it is just kind of like, I'll be here. Like, sometimes I'm just like, I don't even want to go out. Like this empathic like ability. Like some days it's chill. Other days I'm just like, I can't even go to the gym, and it's just like but like the thing is it's like it's very mine is very very like tied to emotion. I don't see anything or like waves or anything, but it is the feeling like like there's times where I look at the sky and like just be like just please turn this off, but I don't really because I don't want it to go anywhere. But it's just like lately it's just been the dark emotions, and I've been like, just really like just trying to like process where is this coming from, and like I don't know. I know there's all kinds of everything going on in like the world, and then, like in Shanghai, and then you see some of the videos of like Ukraine of them tying people Russians to the pole and humiliating them, and just all kinds of but I live in New York City too. I mean, like just stuff going down the street, and I'm like I'm just so I just don't know what to do, but like this whole thing just kind of like it ties it I don't know. I just feel maybe a little relief right now because I know that all those feelings that I just have like a bit of relief that I know it's just not me because I mean the stuff that comes through I don't I like I'm glad this is here because I've never even told any of my family members about this. I don't even tell my best friends about this because it's like how do you say this like and especially like just some of like the darker stuff, and I'm like because if they don't understand anything I say about this will assume it's attributed to me that I'm doing this and all I'm thinking this, and I'm like it's not. I'm feeling this but this is not me. So thank you.
Uh,
For me,
Brandon, thank you so much for sharing that because I think you're vocalizing what a lot of people are feeling. And so, Don, do you have some comments for that?
yeah, for me, Brandon, what it's like is, it's not from you. For me, what it's like is walking in a storm, is trying to separate it out. And there's so much around you. It's like walking in the storm. At least you're here, but there's so much happening around you. It's just walking in a storm. And that's kind of how I deal with it. What I also learned with some of this empathic, telepathic stuff, the remote viewing, the first time it kicked in, it linked in with someone I did not know at all, kind of like you mentioned in the bar. This was from far away. I linked with another person with abilities like this that was telepathic, empathic, and I linked with her way far away. She was in the same town, but going through a traumatic experience, and I did not know what was going on. And then I read what happened in the paper the next day, and there it was. So yeah, I totally get where you're coming from.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much, Brandon. And thanks for sharing that, Don. Okay, Cindy, you have your hand up. Let me bring you
Yeah,
up.
Don, I loved hearing your story. It was so fun to hear your story. First time. I also loved your Louisiana accent too, but I had to put that in. But the telepathic thing while driving, I've had that. I've had moments where like I remember I was driving with my baby brother when he was I mean, many years, we're talking like many years ago in New York. And I was driving to what I thought was keep going. I didn't realize it was like the road was ending and you had to, it was going towards a one-way street in the other direction. And I felt something take the wheel and turn it in the direction. Otherwise, who knows what would have happened. And I also remember a time when I was going towards it, who knows what would have happened. I don't know what happened just now. Echo. And then I remember this other time I was going to a spiritual gathering in Lake George, which was kind of far from me. It was like a 3-4 hour drive for me, and I'm not a long distance driver. At least I wasn't back then. And I remember, we didn't have the GPS back then. And I remember, map questing the directions, or thinking I did, but I only did them one way. And I thought I did 2 times the one way going there. And I had a job going home, and I had to leave the thing early. And I remember I forgot to check the gas before going, on the way back home. And I had no idea how to get back home. Well, I was like saying, guides, help me, help me, help me. And it was really, really kind of funny that I did finally make it to a gas station. The gas was on the red and the overhead music was playing, save me, save me. And then somehow I did find the place, and I had no directions except going on the guidance of guides and, hearing their telling me and I've had that experience a lot. So yeah, there is something going on.
Thanks,
And then
Cindy.
the other thing, what's that?
I said, thanks for sharing, Cindy.
Oh, thanks. I was so hoping you'd still show that thing that you were going to show, but didn't. I hope you still will.
If
Yeah,
you
I
want,
think
we can.
there were a couple comments that people really would like for you to. I think the reality is they just can't get enough of your presentation because it hits home and it's so genuine.
Yeah, I didn't see chat. I think I was trying. It was sharing on the screen, so all whacked out. So yeah, just let me know what.
Okay, I think it was the last. Most comments came in when you said that you were going to skip that last slide.
Yeah, can you still show it?
Yeah, I can. Sure.
Yeah, do it.
Here for it. Yeah,
okay.
I remember when I was going through some weird times like that, it was like a weird time verb. Like we didn't have that word in our language. So it kept running through like different montages, like, oh, okay, a montage filter. I can click that button, see what happens.
Okay.
Like working through that is like that weird space. And I've been there, and I'm here for more conversation on that topic.
Okay, it's just the one slide. Susie, I did see your question hand up, so I'll make sure to get to you. I will share screen for that last slide, last PowerPoint. And sharing screen. Is this one? Oh, wait. No, I don't know what happened to it. It's gone. But I can tell you, I can walk you through it. You don't need this, the screen share. I'll just walk you through it because, I mean, this is my everyday life on what it's like. And it's kind of an exercise. And it is to do with the core of the way I see everything. So if you would look up from your computer, look at a flat wall, a flat surface, any flat surface, just look at a flat surface. Let your third eye crown chakra move out, people like me, above your eyebrows, go out there and let your ability to feel merge with it and go out to the wall. But instead stopping, let it go past the wall, past this flat surface. And we know that this is a holographic universe. We know that the colors we're seeing are fake. It's just being interpreted by our body this way. Imagine that everything you see is the only thing that exists. Up, down, all around you, you're in a cube of your current experience. This is a cube of your current experience. Outside of this, reality hasn't formed yet. Imagine that as empty space, or perhaps just a light fog everywhere, all around this cube you're in, just a light fog. For me, after the walk-in, the first thing I did was feel this way. And I say feel this way, not see this way, because it was using the ability to feel to go through the wall first, the ability to feel and feeling out in this empty space. And I'm feeling for what I call tints, you can call it vibrations, feeling for other beings out there. And this is where I first started sensing them. When I found one, using my crown chakra, third eye, merged, start forming an image in my mind of what it is, and then keep focusing on it. Let the image become clearer and clearer, and then finally see it. And then I would move to another area, look for others and others. And this is the first thing that happened to me after the walk-in, was seeing this way. And I did not realize it until Sheila, the Wish Alliance's walk-in conference, that people call this the lower astral. I was actually seeing into the lower astral. And seeing this way, what I was seeing, the first things I saw were dark entities and dark thought forms. There were also lost souls out here, but I didn't know that's what they were until later, much, much later, because I started coming under attack from these dark entities and dark thought forms.
So question, the dark entities, how did they hit your senses? Many times when we go into multidimensional spaces, things get murky with synesthesia. So it's no longer your eyeballs hitting your visual cortex in the back of your head. Sometimes it's hitting different parts of your brain, and that's from different senses, like your skin or hearing sound or combining the two. When you're talking about the dark forms, like I've seen shadow people. I know that those are a sign that something's there. Hi, who are you? What's this about? And you can get intelligent answers with intelligent questions. I wanted to ask more about, how do you perceive those entities? Is it like a silhouette? I know that it's really common for like, okay, there's a flash of lightning and there's like a cowboy silhouette on the side of a tree. Those things happen. You can ask for help, like, oh, what would you know? Like, maybe you can help me out with these goats I'm having a trouble time with. And they're like, oh, here's some really practical advice you could use right now. I'm like, oh, great. Answer to a prayer I didn't think to ask. And it kind of just forms based on this prompt of like witnessing. There's an entity, witnessing expertise, and then inquiring on something they would know. So how does it emerge for you with these dark entities, and is it a similar process?
Two different ways. What was it, a year and a half ago, August 2020, when I said there were two sets of entities in my bedroom? The first ones that came in were these shadow forms like you talk about. That event stunned all my psychic senses, all of them, except my eyeballs and this remote viewing part. So what happened was, coming back to pee, and I'm wide awake, looking, we have little lights, motion sensor lights in the bedroom. And I could see the lights dim as these shadow forms move in front of them. As it's moving, the lights are dimming. It goes out the back window, turns off the back light, and comes back in, and then more shadows show up. So that was with my physical eyes, that event. Most of the times it is with the other senses, the crown chakra. And I'll give an example of this one. This was probably also in, this was last year. This might've been last year, just last year. The last dark entity fight I had, and it was a tie. What it was is, started off with my emotions. I got real angry when I shouldn't have gotten angry. And I did something, I accidentally got a cut right here on my hand, like near the wrist area, just a cut. And I sat down on the ice chest out back and it was bleeding. And I looked at it as it was bleeding, and these thoughts came in my mind. It was putting thoughts in my head, these dark thoughts of, that's a beautiful red. That is so pretty. Wouldn't you like to see more? It is so pretty. It's the most beautiful red you've ever seen. Don't you want to cut your wrist and see more? That was going through my head. And when it said that, cut wrist like suicide, I'm like, whoa, no, stop. No, that is not me. There is something else here putting this in my head. So this way I see with the crown chakra and ability to feel, I looked around, and to my left, inside my house, I'm outside on my patio, inside my house, there's this void, this dark space that's not supposed to be there. So everything around me is smooth and flat like it should be. Everything's feeling normal except there. And then I start focusing on it. And the more I focus on it, the more it took a shape, more of a shape. And when I focused on it like that, images started coming in my head. Instead of suicide, it was now using what I had felt all along. You're alone. You're going to be alone forever. It was this loneliness that changed tactics and went to being alone. You're alone. You're always going to be alone. You're always going to be like this. And I'm like, whoa. And then I started feeling all this negative and stuff coming straight at me, just straight at me. And it was like a fight with consciousness. And that's the way I deal with it. It's not physical like that. Sometimes it'll be like stuff crawling across your skin, or you feel pushed. Actually, one apartment, it did push me down once when that happened, pushed me to the ground, but that's not normal. Normally, it's just this other way of doing it. And that's just fighting on my part until I can do something about it. Now, what happened in that fight is it left a piece of itself in me. I went down to what I call the pink house homestead, using light and energy to get rid of it, that kind of thing. I've done that before. And so I was doing it again. And then I got the impression, stop, don't get rid of all of it. It's important to help you understand. I'm like, what the hell's going on? So I kept it, I didn't know. And then something else happened. This is before I met Phil Gruber. This is before I saw his thing on Visitors to a Small Planet. And he was talking about spiraling bands of DNA, black and white, electromagnetic. And I'm laying on the couch and all this is going on. I feel all this energy around me, and it's like black and white strands of DNA spiraling up around me, just fast and changing. And I'm just like, what the hell's going on? I don't know what's going on. And I just sit up, just going, whoa, freaking out. And I have a video on that, freaking out. And then on the drive back home from there, I start humming, just humming to myself driving, and I feel this piece start vibrating. Then I make a connection to this entity out there, and it turns and looks at me, and all I feel is brother. Like it's my brother, it's part of my family. And then at that point, I realized what had been happening all my life. These actual dark entities, the one that crushed me, 4 ties, the other little dark thought forms, this was all training. This was all training me on how to deal with it, how to block dark entities, how to grab them, how to hold them, how to melt away the darkness. It was training at the early stage, how to retrieve lost souls, melt away the moment and melt away the darkness and show them the way home. I learned that from trial and error and experience. I didn't have a teacher, and they were teaching me. And it wasn't until just last year that I realized what was going on. It was all family teaching me lessons, even the dark part. And then I heard Phil Gruber on Visitors to a Small Planet, and he talked about this spiraling DNA. He talked about how he had heard about people like me that learn without knowing. He said that in the video, learn without knowing. They don't know who or what they are until the later parts of their life. And I'm just like, oh my God. And then he kept going, and it linked with the videos I have out there. I'm like, this is insane. This is crazy. But that's what it was like. And I hope I didn't get off topic.
You were on
That was
topic.
great. Thank you. Thank you, Don. Okay, Susie, you've had your hand up for quite a while. Let's go ahead and bring you up.
I just, Dawn, I don't know all that you said, but I had such a complete confidence that I was getting it because of your humility, your humbleness. I don't know, I relate to you because you are so open and vulnerable. And I just think that is your best gift, because what you've experienced comes through you as you just say, I'm me, and it's coming through. I am so impressed. And I wouldn't have nothing if I didn't have you.
Thank you, Susie. Thank you very much for saying that, because my biggest weakness is arrogance. So thank you for
That's
saying
why
that.
I said it, because I felt like that is like, you really, your humbleness made me trust you. I don't know, just keep doing what you're doing. I think you're awesome.
Thank you.
Love you, Don.
Thanks, Susie. Okay, Paul, you have another question, Paul?
Oh, I just wanted to comment that earlier on in your presentation, I commented a few things and you brought them up naturally in the conversation. So I'm really excited that the vibe and the tint is right. I have a follow-up question for another discussion, and that is the possibility of using smart speakers to answer questions for shadow people, like a frequently asked question and response pair. I've made playlists and they've worked really well in some really spooky situations, because you can address the emotions of the incident using music on a playlist, and you can vibe with the room without taking it all out on your body.
That's kind of
And
cool.
it's made it much more graceful to deal with much more complex feelings. And I just wanted to say, like, yes, and that little extra piece, maybe make a playlist.
That's pretty cool.
There's a complicated emotion, make a playlist for it. And after you finish making the playlist, then think of the title, then think of the description, and you'll realize, oh, that was the missing piece. Wanted to invite you to compose.
I totally understand that. The title I gave to my video site when I first created was Just Me. And that came down to everything about forgiveness. That hit me in the face. That name, Just Me, hit me in the face because I look around at other people and I see them and it is just me. And that was part of the forgiving everyone for everything because it was all just me. And it hit me in the face at the same time with, just like you said, the title right there in front of me.
Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you
Yeah.
for joining the room.
you,
We
Paul.
really appreciate you.
Thanks, Paul. You always have great comments, great insights. Thanks for sharing. Okay, Lonnie, you have a question.
I couldn't unmute. I don't know what was happening. And it's hard to mute me. So I of course read your book and almost feel like some of the places I've walked with you and followed, but don't have the gifts you have. So that's one thing, but you have many, many gifts that, I mean, that are just incredible. But I think the fact that you have stood in your power, you have stood in your own and gone through these things that has guided your life to where you are now, and the answers are coming. I am just amazed at, and you keep saying, oh, I'm crazy, I'm crazy, I'm crazy. You are the sanest person I could ever imagine after going through 2 or 3 of these things that I've read in your book. And I just am very grateful that I got to read your book. I'm very grateful that I feel like I know you. And I'm very grateful that you have come to be able to speak with everyone and to show these things that may hit a piece of someone in a different way, and not, because you've got so much. You're like it all.
I don't know about that. I don't think so, but digging in the dirt really helps.
Yeah. You have lots of holes, right? Yeah. But thank you. Thank you so
Thank you,
much.
Lonnie.
Really enjoyed it.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Lonnie. Thank you. Don, one of the things I was going to say, of course, digging in the dirt, that's a way you can help to stay grounded. But several times, like tonight, I've seen orbs shoot up around you. And even in your video, when you were talking about your friend who had passed, there was an orb right as you said that came around you. I wonder if that was your friend saying hello.
That happens all the time. One of these videos out there, the orb comes from behind me, zigzags up the wall, comes in front of me and makes a hard turn and zigzags back. And then I'm just like, leave me alone. Just,
right.
I'm trying to do a video.
I just thought that was interesting. I just wanted to share that. And, I think it's really amazing that you're really recording your experiences as they're happening, because many people now can benefit from that. And some of the stories, just like with Brandon, you could just tell that helped to open him up, that helped him to understand a little bit more. So the work that you're doing is very, very important. And I'm very grateful for coming on and sharing that. And we have another question from Jimmy Cutie. So Jimmy, let me go ahead and bring you up.
Hey, Don. Thanks for sharing, being so authentic and vulnerable. I definitely relate to a lot of it. I'm sure most people here did as well. So thank you. I was just curious about your walk-in experience or transition, like when that happened for you, what age, and how did that go?
Would you like to see what it was like? I can show you.
Sure.
Sure. I got a video on it. I got an edited down video. I was going through a suicidal depression. The world collapsed on me and there was nothing else I could do. It was during puberty and I can actually show you. And so I will show you that video if you've got time.
We have time.
Okay, let me reach down and get that prepared here. Find it. Let's see, how do I work computers? You know, computers are complicated. Let's see, I'm going to close that presentation, shrink down this screen. There we go. And I know I have it right here. Pull it up. It's 3 minutes and 30 seconds long. So it's not too terrible, not too horrible. There are 2 sections to it. The first section, I am in the parking lots of Sam's before 7 a.m. before they open. And again, I'm alone in the dark. I'm recording this for a future person in case they're born crazy like me. And so I am going to share that right now.
I went back to my bedroom and I laid down in bed, just laid down and looked up. And I knew by this point I could astral travel a bit. So I'm like, I'm done. I'm just going to lay here and die. And that's what I did. I lay there and died. I'd let myself go. I went out of body and let myself go and went up and out and never planned on coming back. And right before I let go, I said, universe, you know, I'm worthless. Is there anything you want to do with me? You go right ahead. You know, take this body, do whatever you want. I'm done. I'm done here. I won't, you know, be a mistake here anymore. So this is all yours. This body is all yours. Do what you want. I don't care. So I went up and out and didn't come back. Didn't plan on coming back. The thing is, something else happened. And I'll have to get this into another video because it's a major part of my life now. And something happened and something changed and something did come back in. I don't know if it was me or a part of me was something else or something else entirely. And I'm not me from the past. I'm not sure exactly what happened. But something changed and changed in a really big way and in a major positive way for me. Maybe it's just a release of all the negativity. I don't know what it was. Maybe that's all it was, releasing negativity and all this craziness. It's just my imagination. And all these coincidences are just my imagination. Let's hope that it is, because if it's not, it's crazy. I'm coming back. I didn't come back, but something did, or me and something did. I don't know exactly. But as my body was laying there, I'm out of body, up above. And then I don't know if it was me or something else came into my body, but it was like something clear and crisp and clean and cool. And it just poured in like water, just into me. And I don't know what that was. I don't know why that happened, but it did. And everything changed. Everything became clear. Maybe it was releasing the negativity, but everything became clear, really, really clear. It's like, say, if you had heavy cataracts and they were removed, you're driving in a fog, and then all of a sudden the fog clears up and you see all the beautiful colors around you. That kind of thing. Or maybe I've never been colorblind, but maybe it would be like a colorblind person seeing all the full colors for the first time. It was like that. All of a sudden, all the colors became very vibrant. Everything became alive to me. Just everything lit up and became alive. And when I breathed in, it was like breathing new and different air. I'd never breathed before. Walking, it's almost like walking through water because the air itself is alive. Everything is alive. The dirt's alive. The trees are alive. I can almost see the life in them. The sky is alive. Reality itself is alive. And it was a complete change. I don't know why. Just every time it's really strange, really odd. Insane, I suppose. I guess I am insane. Woohoo. Expect a knock on the door and people drive me away any day. The thing I was hiding is this strange happenings side of me, because people can't deal with it.
But it's time now, and I don't know why, but it's time.
There you go. That was some of what it was like.
Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, thanks for sharing.
Do you recall like coming from anywhere specifically else or just generally?
Yes,
Why?
I do. I do not, I don't know that I have that out, but I do. I think I've put it on a video in different sections before. I think it's in my book. There are two different memories I have. One of them, like, well, y'all know weird. I mean, y'all know weird, right? This is my current level of freak out. Sorry, Jimmy. This is my current level of freak out. I am currently reading J.J. Hertek's The Book of Knowledge, The Keys of Enoch. For those on Clubhouse, I have a lot of pink stickies on here. Each one of these relate to my life. When I talked about the choice and those entities in my bedroom, that is one of the pink stickies. The light language I wrote, he's got a description of it and defines it as one of my symbols as the divine breath acting upon amino acids to change the genetic code. And I'm like, what? And then the other one is one of those memories, Jimmy, from out there, is out there. And it clicked because he's got an illustration of a navigational panel on here. I remember, this is going to sound weird. I remember flying a ship. It sounds weird. The navigational panel he put in this description is that navigational panel. And I remember being sent to an area of space. You pull the panels together, one from a different point in space, different point in time, and you overlay it to see what's changed. And I am sent to go here because that's what I do. I stay in the dark. I walk in the dark. It's part of my mission to go find out what's happening in the dark. It's what I do. And I was sent here. And when I got, I keep saying here, when I got there, it was like something happened to my consciousness. It began to fragment or something. And I started forgetting how to work the navigational panel. And I got really confused. And the last thing I remember is jump. And that's the last thing I remember until I see Earth like through the eye of a hurricane, and there's layers of clouds. There are layers of clouds, and I'm looking down at Earth, and I am coming down to Earth. And that was it, me coming in. Beyond that, I have no clue. I don't know where I'm from. I don't know anything beyond that. And that was that.
I was going to ask you about the Starship second, so you answered all that.
No.
Right there. So thank you for sharing that. I can relate to a little bit of that too. It's for another time. Well,
okay.
Thanks, Jimmy. All right, Bridget, you have your hand up.
I do.
Yeah.
You guys bear with me as I'm a little choppy because I can't take my second earpiece out tonight.
Hey, Bridget.
And Jim, if you'll check the room chat and respond to my question about your question, that'll be helpful. So I have a question from Arsha. Hold on, let me get to it real quick. How can we protect ourselves from dark entities?
Great question. I had to learn that through trial and error, and I didn't know what I was doing. And it came on slowly, just kind of trial and error experience. I was being taught, but what it was is this feeling of love and hope and joy from really deep within you, and you let it expand around you like a bubble. And you hold that as your experience, as your reality, and hold it there, this light, this joy, and it acts like a shield, and it can keep things from coming in like that. That's the way it worked for me. Now for fighting, what I'd also learned when fighting this way is that I could expand that love, light, and joy into other substances like walls, and create a wall and use it as a barrier to block them, like a wall of light, love, joy as a solid object is part of my experience, part of my reality. It is there, and you feel it yourself, and you know it's there. And that's what I do with the dark entities. And that's how I protect myself, is with bubble of light. And other times, well, they taught me with dark thought forms too, just to use light in that way, light, love, hope, the positive things. And that's what I call the weapon. In one of my videos, I talk about this, and I say there is no weapon like people think about it, but the weapon is hope, love, joy, truth, it is everything like that, because that is what you are. You are already a light being. All that is part of you already. You just got to use it. And that's what I use.
Yes. That is so yes, so much yes. Okay, so Jim asks, and he's driving, so there was a typo. He says, what is the best way of gently telling someone that they may be a walk-in?
I never really tell people anything. I share experiences. So if somebody's a walk-in, I might start sharing my experience of I had this weird experience, blah, 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 and just talk about myself or something, or I heard this, but I never actually tell anybody, because I don't know anything. If I had a phrase, my catchphrase would be, I don't know. So I don't actually tell anybody everything, but I share, and I'll just start sharing a little bit, and maybe they can open up and relate and start talking. And I'm not a teacher, and I'm not a healer or any of that. My mission's different. So I don't know exactly how to answer that. I'm sorry.
I think that answer was beautiful and full of wisdom. So thank you.
Anything else?
Did you hear Jim?
Sorry, here
Jim,
I
you're
am.
kind of faint.
I'm talking away and I was on mute. Do you have any other questions, Bridget?
No, that is it for us for now. There might be more
Okay.
that pop up. I'll raise my hand if there are.
Thank everyone on
Beautiful.
Clubhouse. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you for all of the effort you put in to describe things, Don. That is so, so deeply appreciated.
That is great. You know, one of the stories that I was hoping that you would share with people that I didn't hear is one that you shared with me in the interview for the book I'm writing, We the Experiencers. And it was about the time when you were, I assume, a teenager, and you were astral traveling, and you were near Titan, kind of messing with some of the
Yeah,
I would love for you to share that. That is, I love that story.
Okay. Astral travel. I guess I don't know exactly when I picked it up, but floating through the roof of the house when I was young, turned out that happened to my grandmother as well, and all the hybrid kind of stuff. And I don't know if that's when I picked it up, but as a teenager, I used it as a method of escape. Astral travel, all the teen angst and all that kind of crap. I used it as a method to escape and get out. And I always, it was real to me. Astral travel was real, but I couldn't get confirmation of any type. I would do two things. My favorite place to go was Titan. Okay, so I would go to Titan, one of the moons out there. I'd go to Titan, and two things. One of them, I'd go under the ice with like microbial beings with a little hydrothermal vent out there, and I just hang around and chill, The other thing was almost like getting orders or commands and missions to go do things, but it wasn't anything negative. This was more of a positive thing, and I like doing it. I enjoy doing it, but to confirm it to myself, that was my private playground. And back in the 70s, the US government launched, way back when, a probe called the Pioneer 11. It went up around Saturn and past Jupiter and on out, the Pioneer 11. When it was getting near Saturn, that's my personal playground. I don't want it to see anything. So I went astral, and I went up there and started messing with it. I'm like, nothing's going to happen. This is my fantasy world. Nothing's going to happen. And then I read on the news that it started having weird issues, and even some of the sensors shut down. Now, if you look it up on the internet, it'll be called the Pioneer Anomaly, Pioneer 11 Anomaly. Scientists have come up with several explanations for it, because Pioneer 10 had the same thing. However, if you really look at Pioneer 11, NASA's stories changed through the years on it. And then if you look at scientists' comment on it, they're calling bullshit on all those explanations. That is not correct for Pioneer 11. Also, harder to find is the micrometeoroid detector went down. When I went up there and did this, it crashed. And it's really hard to find on the internet. It was all over the news at the time. But I'm like, that's weird. What a coincidence. I have coincidences all the time. That's just a coincidence. So once it got past Saturn a little bit, it's like, I'll go astral. I'll go back up and turn stuff back on and fix it. So I did. I went astral and kind of turned things back on and fixed it. And then it came on the news that everything was repaired and it's working normally again. I'm like, well, what another coincidence. That's just weird. That's just weird. So that was that. Is that what you wanted, Sheila?
Yeah, I remember you talking about kind of tinkering with the wires, and I was like, such a teenager, astral traveling teenager. But you have so many wonderful stories that you have shared with us tonight, and I want to open it up for one last. If anyone else has any comments or questions that they have for Don.
Jimmy asked about what it was like before the walk-in. There was one thing that when I was coming down here, the one thing that really got me, that if I had a chance to say it, I would. And what it is everybody here seems so afraid, just so scared and afraid. And the one thing I wanted to say to people was, don't be afraid. It's going to be okay. That was it. Don't be afraid. It's going to be okay. Beautiful, beautiful message. And so what I'd like to do is ask, is that your, do you have another message that you would like to leave people with? Just not be afraid. That's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful way to do that. And one of the things I'm going to go ahead and come up with you, one of the things that I always appreciate about in speaking with you is your authenticity and the fact that you're so willing to open up and to share and to really, a lot of people have a difficult time with just one of the things that you've talked about, but the way you have managed it throughout your life with all of this variety of experiences. And I know you share some of those experiences in your book. Do you want to talk a little bit about your book? The book is a story narrative form. It is a story. The experiences are very true. It's broken up into 5 parts. The first part being childhood in that haunted house. The second is high school. And even in high school, pre-car kicking in. And there was one instance in high school where what I did changed everybody overnight, from bullying and stuff like that to everybody stopped bullying and became kinder. So that's high school. And then there's college, career, and retirement. There are things in the book that I talk about that's done on my video site and vice versa. But it's all these experiences through my life, including manifesting things. And I have done, and it includes me being crushed by that one dark entity, which was a good lesson in arrogance that I found out later. It was a really good lesson in arrogance. Hard lesson, but there it was. So it goes into detail, a lot more detail than my videos. And like I said, arrogance, it led me to do stupid things, and I still do stupid things. I mean, really stupid things. Like, a few years ago, 5 years ago, me and my wife eating at a restaurant with friends, and the wind's getting really busy. We're at a large plate glass window, floor to ceiling on a wall. We're talking about, it's so windy, it must be a tornado. Then my wife goes, I hear a train. I'm like, there's no train, that must be a tornado. And transformers start blowing, people running and screaming, the doors blowing in, trees snapping in the parking lot, falling on cars, and everybody's running and hiding under tables and stuff. And here we are sitting at a table, not moving, eating our salads. And this is the arrogance part of it. I sat there and pushed out my own bubble of reality. This is my reality. It sounds crazy, but this is the way my life works. It's insane. You push your bubble out there and kind of to that tornado, it's like, no, this is my reality. You're not going to change it. Stop. Tornado was right at the restaurant, about to hit it. It stopped instantly, took a left, and dissipated in a few seconds. This weather thing like that has happened. I've had a lot of people see it. I even lost a girlfriend in high school doing this thing, and it freaked her out with the weather and reality responding. People have seen it throughout my life, and it's just odd and can lead to arrogance. And I shouldn't have done that. It was stupid. I do not recommend doing that. Well, I know that you came in with a lot of different gifts and abilities, and working with the weather, changing reality. Those are just a few of the things that really you came in with. And I know when we've talked before, you talked about how you remembered
your life before incarnating. And I was wondering if you could share just a little bit about that, and if you remember where you were located prior to incarnating.
I don't know where I was located. I just remember being in a setting with other people like me, with an overseer type of person there, and I started feeling different. What we did is we reached into this holographic universe, this reality here, and we touched people and gave them suggestions, but it had to be very small because each touch made a ripple around the person and it reached out and touched several people. We were limited, supposed to be limited to only three people out, like it touched that person, another person, and then a third person, that's it. And it could remain stable that way, not cause too many problems. But we were helping people, trying to keep things running smoothly and helping people. I started getting self-aware of something. They telepathically told me, leave, go out the room. The two guards at the portal to Earth smiled at me and freaked me out, and then led me to an area where I could see the entire history of the Earth, and I got to choose. But the thing is, I kept looking past Earth, and there was this whole civilization of glowing light beings, and it was beautiful, perfect, perfection. And then I'm told, you can't go there, you got to go here, where people live and die, and they're imperfect and do all this. I'm like, great, I think I'll take that one. So here I am.
Well, we're glad that you chose this one. So thanks so much for coming tonight, Don. And if people want to reach out and contact you, how can they do so?
I do have that email, dhudnell8@gmail.com, but I don't have Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. It's just so much hate out there that I don't want to deal with it. And all my life, I tried to stay hidden from the examples I gave you before. I'd be put in an asylum because I saw that happen. Did I tell you about that? That after we moved out, another kid moved in and they put him in asylum? I think I told you that. I didn't? Oh. At that haunted house, this is the reason I stayed hidden, one of them. At the haunted house, after we moved out, another family moved in. They had a boy my age. He saw the dark things too, and he wouldn't shut up about it, where I kept quiet. His parents had him committed to that asylum. And so after I saw that happen, I'm like, hide. Do not tell people, do not talk about it, stay hidden, because that happened. And it made me, after hearing Maisha Johnston talk about kids going through this programming and personalities fractured, it made me think, it's like, are there such things as halfway houses where they, ruffle people through, families through like this in a particular house and just keep them going? Yeah, it just made me think, I don't know.
Right. Well, Don, I am always amazed at your stories. And thank you so much for sharing. And would you repeat one more time slowly your email for people?
The email is dhudnall8@gmail.com. The video site, if you want to look at it, is BitChute, bitchute.com/Don Hudnall, DonHudnall.
Thanks so much. And thank you again for, coming out because, well, first off, your presentation was phenomenal. You did a great job on your PowerPoint. And I'm not sure how many of these presentations that you have done, but you're a pro. So thanks for sharing with us tonight. And for everyone out there, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again real quickly because we have coming up this weekend, Karen Swain and I are hosting the Galactic Goddess Connect Hearts Across the Water. And it's a roundtable discussion. And really, why are we here on Earth at this time, personally and collectively? And we have a wonderful group of people. In addition to Karen and myself, Bridget will be there, Barbara Lamb, Geraldine will be joining us, Leah Scallon, Larissa Stowe, Mary Rodwell, our own Stone Hobbit, and Vivian Chavette. And so it is going to be a 4-hour hot topic that we can't wait for you to participate in. And then a few months down the road, we're going to go ahead and repeat this again. We were laughing Monday night. I don't think we are going to call it Galactic God because galactic gods almost has a different connotation than the galactic goddesses. So we'll come up with a different name, but we do want to interview some men about very similar topics and, you know, kind of get their viewpoint on it. So we're starting out with the women, anchoring some of this divine feminine energy, and then we're going to move through to the men who also are anchoring this divine feminine energy. And again, August 27th, 28th, we have our hybrid conference. Please be sure to write these down. Again, for the Galactic Goddesses, you can go to a variety of YouTubes. You can go to New Reality, you can go to Karen's ATP, you can go to, or Karen Swain YouTube, Portal to Reality YouTube, Facebook pages. Hopefully we'll have it on our page. And so there'll be lots of ways to view this. So we hope that you will come on out and join us. Don, again, thank you so much. It's been a real privilege to have you. Maybe we'll have you back again at another time. That would be fun. I think everybody's really enjoyed it. So everyone, thank you so much for being here. And until we're back together again next week, namaste. Thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you, Dawn. Thank you, Sheila.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you.
Sheila,
Thanks
thank
to
you,
That
all
was
of
amazing.
our Awake and Ascending
See you
folks.
all.
Thank you,
Love
thank you,
you.
thank you.
Love you,
Bye,
everybody.
Thank
guys.
you.
Love you, Bridget.
Good
Love you
night.
too.
Good
Love
night,
Love you,
everyone.
fam.
big hugs to everybody.